right, so there you have it. An insane hand, right? Like this, it would come Global Poker Awards time. This has to be at least nominated for Hand of the Year.
It's the PokerNews Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 905th episode of the PokerNews Podcast. I am Chad Holloway at Level 9 Studio in Las Vegas, joined by Mike Holtz and our special guest, Jim Reid of the Rec Poker Podcast. I told you, I was on your show a few months ago, and I said, when you come to Vegas, you can come in studio, and here you are.
It's made my whole week, man. This is very exciting. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks, Chad.
You know, our pleasure. And we got a very exciting show. We're going to talk about Martin Kabrhel again, breakout star of the series. Won a bracelet, his fourth in a massive field. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the Daniel Negreanu vlog, his opinion on the WSOP controversy revolving the Moneymaker, alleged chip dumping, an insane hand to end the 2025 Wynn Summer Classic Championship event. We're going to talk about Mintzy, Barstool Mintzy's bad beat here at the WSOP. And of course, the main event, day one A's have happened. We're going to talk about some folks who fell early, unfortunately. And then, of course, some recent tournament winners. And then we're going to do a little giveaway. Maria Ho did Pokerriculum. We're going to talk about that towards the end of the show. And then remember a friend of mine who, poker player who unfortunately passed away. Let's start with Martin Kabrhel. Mike, he is now in the lead for Player of the Year.
So cool.
Benny Glazier won 3 bracelets.
Yeah.
And but Martin Kabrhel, so WSOP has been terrible at updating their Player of the Year feed, right?
It's been really bad, yeah. I'm confused.
But based upon their calculator and PokerNews calculations, right now, as it stands, Benny has 3,245 points, and Walt Martin is listed with 1,991 points in 23rd place. They haven't added the 1,325 points he should get for winning the mini main event, which would put him 3,316 points. So about 60 points ahead. I don't know, Jim, let me ask you, as the representative of the rec poker crowd, if you will, do you think that's like 3 bracelets versus 1, even no matter how many final tables?
I mean, that's a really good point. I think when it comes to, I'll tell you, because we are mostly recreational players, we're not that tied into the player of the series race. Like, that's not going to be in play for a lot of us. But I do think that even as we're talking more about all these bracelets that have been introduced over the last several years, there's just something special about the bracelet itself. And to compare it to making a bunch of final tables, it takes a lot of skill to get to those final tables, and it takes a lot of skill and some luck to get to the bracelet. I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you.
I'll say it does take a lot of skill, but a lot of these players are using their skills in very tough fields, but smaller fields, whereas Martin Kabrhel, I'll give him credit for this, 10,794 entries in the mini main event, and he wins it for $843,000. Love him or hate him, like we've seen his antics, Mike. We've talked about it on air before. We've shown clips. And he's usually doing that against other high rollers, but here he's in the mini main event against recreational players, and by all accounts, his antics were the same. So he is at least consistent, if nothing else.
Well, I mean, I will say, he was at the table behind me on the first day of the mini main event, and he was not that loud. Honestly, it was like kind of tame. And now I say that to say I played another 1Ks with him where he was the exact same person. So. Yeah, I think it's really cool that this is happening. I said earlier that wouldn't it be sick if Martin Kabrhel one year was in like the Player of the Year race and it was a bunch of drama, and that was like 2 weeks ago. So did I manifest that? Maybe. You're welcome, Martin.
I do know he bagged on day 1A of the regular main event as well. Got a late double with pocket aces against ace king. So we might not see the last of Martin.
Oh, man.
And like I said, if he's leading Player of the Year, I know we did an episode with Maria Konnikova a while back where, we gave Martin pretty hard time saying maybe he's not good for poker, but like the numbers aren't lying. Like people are watching his videos, tuning into the 100%. Social content. Like people seem to like Martin. Jim, you just got to Vegas, but like you were watching all summer long. What's your take on him?
I think you guys made a really good point that there's a difference between players who have played with him and players that see the stream.
Yeah.
And I can see that the entertainment value from someone doing something differently and being kind of like loud and colorful. And, that gets clicks and it gets people engaged, which I like. That being said, like, if you ask me, I just wish you would. Can we curse on this
Yeah,
one? Just
absolutely.
shut the fuck up, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, this is a game we should be trying to make this a fun experience for everybody there.
Sure.
You know, like, be a professional. And don't, like, I guess there's a line between just sort of generally being obnoxious, which I don't hold people responsible for, and like berating people or like making
of
other
course.
people feel bad at the table. So I think that's an important line. But personally speaking, I've had probably about enough.
That's fair.
Of the antics.
It seems the fans, like Kev Math tweeted a picture that showed the two rails comparing Martin Kabrhel's rail at the final table and then Phil Hellmuth going deep in the stud 8 or better championship. And you compare the two rails, like there's a couple people on Hellmuth and there's literally a couple dozen, maybe 3 dozen on Martin's. So
Can we just ask though, like, are either one of those people, like, Phil's a great player and everything, but also not like a great role model
The
for
worst
how to
role
act
model
at the
possible.
table, right?
Very bad.
So, you know, I don't know. It's probably a pretty good comparison, to be honest with you. But I would just like to see more of sort of like, you know, the well-intentioned, well-behaved, making the game more fun. I'd like to see those people get more attention and going deep. But boring doesn't sell.
No,
That's
Right?
true.
That's the problem.
Well, I'll say this. When you are at the table next to Martin Kabrhel, like I was in the 5K, it's me and Martin Zamani next to each other, and then Martin Kabrhel's at the table next to us. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen in poker history. Like we were laughing so hard for so long. It was the most ridiculous thing ever. If I was at the table, I would have been pissed. They kept calling the clock on him, all this stuff. But when they called the clock, he'd be like, I call the clock on him. You know what I mean? Like, one time a guy raised and then he got the clock called on him and then 3-bet and then the guy 4-bet and then he gets the clock called on him again and he goes to fold in the last second as the guy makes it 9K and he goes to fold and he goes, 19,500 and puts it down in minutes. The guy jams. He gets the clock called on him again. He asks the floor if there's the right people amount of the thing. They go down in 1 second. He snap calls ace king.
Oh, wow.
wins the against ace queen and leaves. It was hilarious to me. But if I was that guy, I would be furious.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I mean, look, we've all done it too. Like I've stalled in moments where it's, you know, getting that bubble or getting to the next ladder.
This
like
was
it is
not
part of the game.
This was late.
but-
Reg was open.
Yeah.
There was an incident from the mini main event in which Martin got a penalty. It was captured on camera by Trevor ICP on Twitter. He goes at Furfur INCU. This is the video he captured of a floorman giving a penalty to Martin Kabrhel. Check it out.
No, one round penalty. Don't joke with me.
I'm not joking.
Okay, Dero. Can I say something? No. Can I say something?
One round.
For what? Explain me. For what?
One round.
Explain me for what?
Number one, you know you don't touch the card. You know you don't touch the chips.
There was
One round penalty.
I didn't.
1 round penalty.
It's okay. Make the video. It's horrible treatment. Yeah. I did nothing wrong.
1 round penalty. Step out of the area. Step out of the area.
What did you do, Anton? Touch the card. Touch the card. Touch the card. He's your friend? Yeah, he's your friend? Who, me? Yeah, no. He touched the card. He shouldn't touch that. No, the rules. The rules are... Yeah, because you don't know him?
Can I say something?
I know him, yeah. Good.
There was a card at the gentleman, and she has no chance to grab it. You understand?
Mark, look, I've told you several times.
I just take the cards and give it to the dealer. No, then I need to call supervisor. Call the supervisor.
Other side of the
Whatever decision you do, poor job.
Other side of the rail.
All right, so there you have it. Martin getting a penalty. Some say unwarranted in the way he was treated by the floor. Unjust. I know that Jesse Martin on Twitter, Maze or Bowie, said he's neutral on Martin as a whole. Haven't played with him in years, but he thought this was disappointing customer service. Others in the thread, including David ODB Baker, said like context matters. He's been warned 100 times this summer. What do you guys think? I think without context, yeah, maybe it looks like the floorman is being a little power hungry, but like we've been around, we've seen Martin all summer long. Like he's pushed the envelope time and time again, and I think the floor people are just kind of tired of it.
I generally agree with the side of the not power. So like if I see a situation like a cop and a citizen, I usually choose a citizen, you know what I mean? When it comes to the floor and a player, I tend to be biased towards the player, you know? In this situation, I've seen the floors deal with Martin so many times, and I've got to say, I think that the floors need to man up more and just give this guy penalties, because like they play his game. He has them wrapped around his finger where he's like, you know, the rules are this and this and this. And they're like, yeah, Martin, I get it, blah, blah, blah. The floors just all need to come together and say, we're not taking any of this shit from Martin Kabrhel anymore. We're the authority figures, not him. And I think they should give him more penalties, honestly, for the things that cause. Because here's the thing, while it's great for viewership, when we're in a tournament where there's no cameras around, you shouldn't be doing that stuff. You know, you shouldn't be slowing up the game. Sure, does it help your edge or whatever, your perceived edge? Is that why you're doing it? Maybe. And that's, if that is what it is, it's within the rules, but it's also within the rules for the floor to tell you, hurry up, brother. Like, we're not dealing with this.
And I think like context matters a lot, like you said. And it's important that the tournament staff have discretion and are able to use that discretion. And I like at Rec Poker, we tried to make all these rules about like behavior, how to post in the forums, how to behave in the home game club and that kind of stuff. And ultimately, you can have the best rules in the world. People are going to find a way to work around the edges. And so enforcement compliance really comes down to having good people in position to make good judgment calls and to exercise good judgment. And so I think context really does matter. And if you have someone who's habitually stepping to the line, I think it's completely appropriate to kind of head that off at the pass a little bit and not let it get to a point where it's actually become like a problem.
He's a habitual line stepper. What can you do?
Yeah, and God bless him. You know, it's not a murder charge. You know, it is what it is. But it has consequences that come with it. And when you are someone who people expect to continually kind of take that line and to push that edge, I think it's for the best that the floor staff can decide to weigh in and head it off.
One thing Jesse Martin said, a point that he made, which I think is worth at least considering, is like, look, if you are going to exploit him for clicks and views, which, you know, is happening, PokerNews is doing it, WSOP is doing it, other entities are doing it as well, then you shouldn't be treating him badly as a floor. But then as other people chimed in, and I agree with this, is, look, it's two different departments, if you will, right? The WSOP marketing, publicity, social media team, you know, they're in the clicks business, whereas the floor people are in the game integrity business, if you will, right? Or to make sure the tournament is running. They don't care about the social media aspect of it. But it is an interesting question. What do you guys think about that aspect?
Well, other players at the table are also, you know, deserving of client management, like customer service. So that's part of it's like, yeah, this guy is, you know, a high profile player. And of course he's due his respect from the coordinators and from the staff and from the other players there, but so is everyone else who's there. And I think when you get into a position where you're allowing certain people, Phil Hellmuth, to like act out or to like be this spectacle or to have kind of special treatment, whether it's deserved or not compared to their contributions to the game. I mean, I just think it's not fair. I know I'm kind of a wet blanket on some of this stuff, but I do want to make it so it's fair for everybody. And that should be the most important thing.
I don't think that's being a wet blanket. I think that's reasonable. I think it's totally reasonable and fair. We're all paying a bunch of money to enter these tournaments. Like the tournaments aren't for the spectators. Right. I mean, like we love the spectators. We love having that. But like, these are tens of thousands of people playing for millions of dollars. Like, that's the most important part, is that the clientele gets taken care of. And like, no, if you're at a table with Martin Kabrhel and he's on his worst behavior, it's terrible. It's gotta be bad.
By all accounts, like, people who play with him, whether it's the other pros or even the recreational players, like the people who played with him on day one of the main event, from what I understand, didn't leave there thinking, oh, that was amazing. I'm so glad I got to play with them. Yeah, they do not have a pleasant experience. But we do have some video from PokerNews of the winning hand from Martin, as well as a little winner's reaction. We'll run them back to back. Check them out.
Not like that! Casino! Royale! Let's go! What do you mean? That's my minimum. That's my minimum hand. Can I get one round of penalty again? Can you say thanks for playing, please? I like thanks for playing.
Great job. Great job. Good job, Martin. Let's go, baby.
Can you put a little bit more diamonds, please?
It's
broken.
Can we move that
Wait,
chair?
wait, I get the broken bracelet.
Not broken. Martin, would you like to sit down or are you doing standing?
This is so embarrassment, man. I don't even care anymore. You just like make it even worse. Anybody know how to fix bracelet? Wait, I fixed it. I fixed it. Oh, now I fix it. I don't know how.
All right, we will keep an eye on Martin Kabrhel, how he does in the main event and how he does in that WSOP Player of the Year race. I want to turn my attention to Daniel Negreanu and his reaction to the Club WPT Gold $1 million bonus, the Millie Maker, alleged chip dumping, Jesse Yaginuma, James Carroll. Mike, we've been over and over all of that, so we're not going to dive into the specifics of that, but rather Negreanu's reaction to it, basically calling it the sleaziest I've ever seen in 30 years in regards to the actual promo. Before we dive into it, to give the viewers a little context, here's a clip from Negreanu's vlog.
This promo, without a doubt, in my 30 years of poker, is this either A, if they did this knowingly, knowing there would be a controversy, and I don't see how you don't see it happening, this is the sleaziest promo I've ever heard of in 30 years, bar none. If you didn't know and you didn't foresee this, well, you know, there's obliviousness there and just kind of an incompetence to what kind of black mark this is going to create for poker. Because make no mistake, that's what it did. ESPN wrote a piece about cheating at the World Series, all this sort of thing. Who does that benefit? It doesn't benefit anybody in poker, right? And you put these people who want to win a bracelet, like I know that James wanted to win this bracelet, but he's now put in this difficult situation. Imagine a 1,500 stud, right? 4 people left, first prize like 130K. One guy says, listen, I'll give everybody 250, all right? Let me win, okay? It's kind of hard to turn that down. So I don't blame the players. Ultimately, I look at this and I say, okay, this is just bad for poker. There are no winners here. You know, some people say, oh, it was worth the publicity to spend the money. I'm like, do you think so? You raised attention, sure, but whose attention did you raise? Outside of the most important ones, which is Nevada Gaming and the regulators. I don't think that's the kind of attention that you want. So in the end, I think everyone loses here. I do have empathy for the 2 players who, even though they won $1 million, I have empathy for them because, you know, they're not going to be able to play the World Series for I don't know how long. Yeah, that's the end of my rant.
All right, so there you have a little taste. You can check out the full vlog on Daniel Negreanu's YouTube page. But Mike, what did you make of Negreanu's take on this whole situation?
I hope there's more sleazy promotions in poker that give me millions of dollars for free for doing nothing. Like, man, what assholes! Like, no, I mean, I don't think it's the sleaziest promotion in poker. I think it's crazy. Like, yeah, did they do some stuff where some weird things could happen at the WSOP? Maybe, maybe not. $1 million for the boys, 14 million total they were trying to give out. I hope it gets way more sleazy in poker. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's great. I think that's totally fun. A great promotion.
I mean, I love taking money from poker operators and giving it to players.
Me
like,
too.
I'm all over that.
Such a fan.
But like, I do say there is something weird about this.
Yeah.
You're introducing this incentive for collusion that I'm no expert on this, and I don't know what the Nevada Gaming Authority has to say about this kind of thing, but there is something kind of interesting about an unaffiliated organization adding a promotion that incentivizes collusion in their competitors' game, because it is very predictable. Like, I don't think WPT was like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. No one could have foreseen this. So it is, you know, I appreciate Daniel's point that it's either kind of inept to not recognize that was going to happen, or it's kind of a dick move to expect it and to have that be part of it. But I'm not sure what the answer is there, because are you not allowed to then provide like promotional support to other players and other brackets and other like how do you solve that? With
I've thought about. I don't think there. I'm in my mind. I think I'm a pretty decent problem solver, and I'm like thinking about. I don't know how you solve this issue. Like I don't know what's fair, what you can or can't do. Like it seems to me like it's fair for them to offer this, but at the same time, it causes a bunch of issues that they clearly should know are going to happen.
Yeah.
So it is weird. It's like, I don't know how you how does this work legally? Like, can you do that? Like, I guess you can, right?
Well, it's like we're saying, like it's hard to make good rules for some of these edge cases. And so is this going to be one of these?
What if they took it to like a different aspect? Like next year, because of Negreanu's stance, they say, all right, you knock out Negreanu of any tournament, we're giving you $100,000.
Right.
Like literally putting a bounty on somebody from the outside looking in.
I don't see. There's no rule against it.
There's a rule against it in the tournament. Shout out to James Romero for putting a bounty on me in the Wynn event. He did it mid-hand. I was all in. It's on the big blind. He's like, I'll give you $100 if you knock him out. And the big blind was like, seriously? He's like, yeah, he called. Thanks, James. James Romero.
Not so kosher that.
No, that was illegal. You can't do that. It was fine. He had a worse hand and he sucked out. It was fine. Thanks, James.
It was fine.
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good.
I think most people.
I'll never remember. I barely remember.
No,
it.
you don't lose any sleep.
I don't
over
remember
that.
that. I don't even really remember that hand.
I think most people would say that example that I just gave would be obviously influence way too much action, right? And I don't disagree. But as Negreanu pointed out, and he said something that I think some of us had heard but weren't going to say because we weren't sure, was that there was a rumor going around that a potential deal was discussed sooner than heads-up play at that final table, potentially three-handed or beyond, in which case that does change the dynamics a bit, right? So apparently, as Negreanu says, that three-handed, a sort of deal was discussed. The third-place finisher, Josh Reichard, good friend of mine, allegedly said no, turned it down, and business proceeded. And even if the other two, Jesse Yaginuma and James Carroll, were like, okay, he said no, we're just going to play this straight up, even that discussion being had could at least throw enough plausible doubt into it, you know? Which in case, if that happened, as somebody's pointed out on social media, like, that is collusion. Even if it was denied.
No, I don't think that's collusion.
If with three or more players remaining, by definition, it would be. If they came and said, hey, you guys want to do a deal? We'll get, you throw the chips to me, we'll get the $1 million bonus and we'll split it amongst us. Even if somebody says no, you still broached a topic of collusion.
Well, you broached a topic of collusion. Well, no, it's not. Three people colluding against no one is not collusion. Three people can't collude against no one. If three people are together, once you broach the topic, you say, hey, we could do this. They say no. As long as you don't actually collude, nothing's happened. Now, you've introduced a ton of doubt into Josh Reichard's head now where it's like, oh shit, are these guys going to collude against me perhaps? That's something that happens and that's not okay. But I don't think it's collusion to just discuss it and then say no. Because you're literally saying, hey, should the three of us work together to a positive outcome for all of us? Whereas it's not like, can the three of us work to a positive outcome to fuck this guy? Like, there's no guy getting fucked. Once Josh says no, unless Josh, and I don't know if anyone's talked to Josh about this, did Josh feel uncomfortable about the situation?
I mean, I don't think Josh is the type who's going to speak publicly on the record. I know Josh pretty well, and if he wants to, I'd be happy to have that conversation with him. As Negreanu said, in his words, the third place finisher was also approached and didn't want to take part. The other two have a deal in place. This guy in third doesn't want to do that. So they both have an incentive for him to be eliminated, either consciously or subconsciously. It can affect the play. I'm not saying that it did, but it could.
This is actually my biggest problem with this promotion is because even if no one says, hey, let's soft play, there's a huge incentive for collusion at the final table. Like if the three of us are at the final table and you have a golden pass, Chad, then I am incentivized to get heads up with you because you have a reason to maybe make a deal with me.
100%.
And like, so I'd much rather get heads up against Chad than against Mike because Mike doesn't have $1 million to share with me in his back pocket.
Yeah.
And so even without us even talking about it, and this extends earlier than just three-handed play too. Like earlier in the tournament, are you going to bust someone on the bubble of the final table if they have a golden ticket and you have the choice between busting them and letting them stay in and increasing your odds of getting heads up with them? So I do think it's a messy situation, I will say.
I will say there's other things. Well, yeah, but that don't affect you. Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, are there other things, like player of the year comes into mind, but it's like that can't possibly affect me for keeping someone in.
I mean, the 25K fantasy draft is an example that's been brought up a little bit, right?
Oh, even though I've seen an incident with that. I'm not even going to say, but I saw two people on the same team do something that I thought was very sketchy, and I'm not going to bring it up.
So, I mean, that is an outside thing that is also being applied to, the results of the WSOP. And I want to also point out, so David Lappin, who has always been a harsh critic of Daniel Negreanu, but also, is a voice in this industry, did write an op-ed about this situation and specifically Negreanu's vlog about it. And he calls Negreanu a hypocrite because Negreanu represents GG Poker, who for the last 3 years has done this road to the WSOP promotion where if you qualify through GG and go on to win the main event, you get an extra $1 million.
Yeah.
So that is certainly like, okay, is that the pot calling the kettle black?
Oops, daisy.
I think Negreanu's argument against that would be, and I think he kind of mentioned it in his vlog or somewhere I saw it, but like, $1 million heads up or close to the end of the main event isn't, in relation to the prize pool and the prizes won't have as much impact as, say, when first place in a tournament is $200,000 and you have a $1 million bonus hanging over you. That's getting into semantics.
Not wrong, but that's definitely semantics for sure. An extra $1 million or so. If we're playing for $3 million. Well, I guess it actually does make a pretty big difference.
And I do think in the main event though too, not to defend it, like I do see the similarities. I think in the main event, you'd be hard pressed to get me to do any sort of deal or chip dumping either $1 million in the main event. Like winning the main event in itself is worth $1 million to most any poker player, I would think. Maybe not all. But.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and the pay jumps are so much bigger that the absolute value of the $1 million kind of pales by comparison. Well, but it's a question of degree.
Club GG also offered it where if you bubbled any of the events, they gave you like bubble insurance or whatever. So like I know that affected the play in a lot of bubbles. Like I don't know.
That's true.
Does that really? I mean, I don't know if that's nearly as big of a deal as this, even remotely close. But like I remember specifically, I was like, oh shit, I can bubble this. And this could be ill. Like I could just bubble this event and set out, I can take so many more spots here, yada, yada.
That's a good point.
And then that also, think about this, like people who sell action.
Right.
And then all of a sudden now they're bubbling on purpose. Like I know that definitely happened to somebody 2 years ago. 3 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago, there was a big controversy. Someone did that.
That's interesting. The more we talk about all, like, we think this is the first time an outside thing has influenced the game, but it clearly is not, right? Like just maybe not on such a public scale to the tune of 7 figures, but at least throughout the last decade or more, there have been things like the bubble protection, if you will, in the 25K fantasy that, while maybe not big or egregious, certainly do have some sort of bearing on the in-game play.
And I think there's just something spectacular about the dagger from WPT into the ribs of WSOP as part of this. Like there's just something like sensational about that's making it more of an interesting conversation.
No, Club WPT is doing exotic dances on the grave of WSOP right now. Like I'm talking like they're doing rain dances and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. I do want to say for clarity's sake, David Lappin is a Club WPT ambassador. So there is, and he's, just throwing that out there. He's being critical of one. Right. And like we say, Negreanu is also a GG Poker ambassador who now owns the WSOP, who, he's not going to speak out against it, I guess. So he's kind of taking that line. So
I'm also on the record that David Lappin is poker's greatest villain. So just so we're all clear.
He's the greatest villain.
Yes, I say it with love, but he's definitely poker's greatest villain.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I've never looked at Lappin as a villain. I've seen him as chaotic neutral.
No, look a little closer, Mike.
Oh, I'll do a deep dive. Yeah. I'll do a deep dive. Okay, sick.
I have a lot of respect for David Lappin both ways. Like there's some things I think he's spot on. He's a hero in this regard. And there's other times I'm like, you didn't necessarily have to take that line, but you did. So, but I am glad that he's not afraid to use his voice in the poker world. And he certainly did here. I will link to his op-ed in the show notes. I do want to move on and talk about just a truly wild hand. This stemmed from the 2025 Wynn Summer Classic Championship. This is a tournament that got 1,537 runners. Michael Sklenicka won it for more than $2.3 million in the final hand. Just truly insane. Poker News was there. We're the only ones there. We captured it. Check it out.
Let's finish it right now. All right, 5-6. 5-6. It's over. 5-6 on the flop. Game over. Game over. Oh! Fuck, he's king. Oh. Hey! Oh! No way. Oh my God. The world is mine. Ja, det är sitter kaos och sen och så måste man. Oh my God. Sick.
All right, so there you have it. An insane hand, right? Like this, it would come Global Poker Awards time. This has to be at least nominated for hand of the year.
That's the hand of the year, right? What?
2.3 million at stake. A premier tournament of the summer. 8-7, cracking kings. To just the way it happened, had to hit exactly 8-8 and did.
The Pocket Kings guy has to help more old ladies across the street or something. I don't know what he's done, but like it feels like karmic for justice for some terrible deed that he's done.
Online? Oh, sorry.
No, please.
Online poker, rigged. So rigged. You got to go live for the real runouts.
That's right. Great point. That wasn't the only sick hand. There was one from the WSOP in the mini main event. It was day 2. Ben Mintz, also known as Mintzy, a good friend of mine for many, many years in the poker world, went on to, and he still works for Barstool Sports. So Barstool Mintzy comes out to the World Series every year. He's cruising along in the mini main event, and he gets it in with pocket aces and ends up, with a pretty bad beat that he captured on camera. It went viral thanks to Barstool Sports. Check it out.
Wow. What?
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
What happened?
Just lost aces to 8s all in.
Yeah, take a picture.
Ace, king 8 flop, 8 river. That is wild. But you know what? I didn't have any. I'm not really mad because I didn't have any chips. So.
Pay out 535.
That is the most insane way I've ever
You guys all got your pictures?
All right, so there you have it. Another beat, not quite as bad as the win hand, but still quads on the river, quad 8s, if anything, sends Mintzy out the door, 654th place for $2,790. He actually did a little reaction video afterwards in which he talked about the hand, which I thought would be fun to share. Check it out.
All right, I'm waiting in line at the cashier's cage. I mean, look, been doing this long time. And I always say, y'all hear me say, like, I don't know how I did this for a living for 8 years. What just happened to me to knock me out on that aces versus 8s all in pre is exactly why I say that. I mean, this is, Doyle Brunson always said, a hard way to make an easy living. I mean, you can't do any better than getting it in with aces pre. Can't even be that mad, like, about losing. It's just that run out. It was like ace, queen, 8, 10, and then 8 river. I mean, I don't know that I've ever even seen that one before. I've definitely never taken one like that. But on the perspective stuff, I was short stacked anyway. So, I mean, I can't really complain too much. I mean, I'm thrilled to just catch 2 aces and get it in there. So it's not like, one of those things where I can really be that mad. I mean, it was kind of a miracle I had aces to begin with. I got 654th out of like 10,800 for $2,790. Obviously I wanted a better result than that going into today, but still, I mean, I barely play. It's my 7th tournament of the year. Cashing my first WSOP event in 2025 is not nothing. Got some momentum. Felt good about the way I played. And, we're going to keep rolling. So I'm going to get this cash here at the cashier cage, and I'm about to hop right into the Poker News $600 tournament today, and on it goes. I'm going to play the Poker News 600, and I'm going to play that Moneymaker 1,700 1 mil main at MGM in the next couple of days as well, and play the World Series main on Saturday. So still encouraged. It's great. Cash first event I played, first WSOP event I played, and I played like 7 poker tournaments this year and have 3 cashes. And 2 of the other ones I made big runs in too. So I'm, considering how low I'm playing, I don't see the problem. So we're gonna get back in there, and it's still gonna be a great week. Even though, that was a very, very wild way to go. That's one that, like I said, I don't know that I've ever seen that. But on it goes. Let's do it. Let's get off.
All right, let's turn our attention from the mini main event to the actual main event of the WSOP. The day 1 flights are in the books. We're going on to day 2. We're going to cover this more in future episodes. But let's start with the day 1 flights. It was actually back on day 1. I was pretty surprised to hear that Chris Moneymaker, who, is responsible for probably me, maybe you, Jim, I don't know, Mike, maybe not, but a lot of people who are listening and watching, Chris Moneymaker, the Moneymaker boom, he jumps into day 1A and does not last long. He ended up busting in the second level of the day. He has Queen Jack. Another player has pocket queens. The flop is Jack, Jack 6, turn a 10, river a queen.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And he says, Moneymaker tweeted, he's just not good enough to get away from the hand. And pretty sick, but, kind of disappointing. I think people always want to see Moneymaker do well, and he's out in level 2.
Yeah. I've got a soft spot in my heart for him, of course. And he's an easy guy to root for and a great sport. But it is one of those things like, I don't know. It's nice to say I wish I was good enough to fold in that spot, but I don't know. You already had half his chips in at that point, and I say, he's a good sport, but I think everyone's going broke there. Just a rough spot. Maybe bet the turn next time. I don't know.
I did not see the action on the hand, but I blame him for not betting the turn clearly. He would have been good if he just bet the turn.
Some other players who busted on that day 1A flight, Joe Alviera, Frank Casella, Barney Boatman, Texas Mike Monchek. There was also Joe Cotta, former main event champ, Angela Jordanson, a good friend of Kina and mine, and Faraz Jaka, who got a little wild with deuce-seven. I don't know if you saw that hand. I'm going to pull it up.
Not.
Yeah, Poker News caught it, and we did write about it. So in this particular hand, it was a player raised in, so this is level 4, blinds 300, 500, 500. Benjamin Gold raised to 1,200 on the button with pocket queens. Right? Okay. Jaka, he's in the big blind. He has 7 deuce offsuit. I think 99 out of 100 players, if not more, just fold.
He
just
goes
right.
6K.
He makes it 5,500.
Okay.
He 3-bets it. Gets a call.
Actually reasonable.
It gets a call, and the flop comes queen, 3, deuce with 2 hearts. Jaka continued for 3,500, and Benjamin Gold just called with his top set. Turn was a king of diamonds, and we have Jaka. He ends up betting 14,000, and Gold still just calls. The river, 2 of spades. So Jaka improves to trips, and Jaka bets 30,000, and Gold moves all in. Jaka has 35K behind, hits the tank, and ends up calling off.
Oh, that's a bad call.
Loses.
There's never been, and no one's ever bluffed that spot, right? On the main event, I don't think.
I mean, it's
the river. You're gonna bet 30K, and then I don't know. That'd be.
You could have the missed flush draw technically, I guess, or maybe I don't know, ace king of hearts, and you hit the king. I don't know. I think it's probably a fold too. But then again, I wouldn't be in that spot because I wouldn't have played the 7 deuce from the big blind.
Yeah, well, for us, has a lot of heart.
There's no doubt about it. He's much better than me.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. So, but that was certainly a big hand and a surprise hand.
It might be good for his image in a way. Like you get it. It's a very sensational spot. And now he's that guy that 3-bet the 7 deuce.
It's crazy. He's a wild animal.
He does have Jaka coaching, right?
That's right.
He does have a business, and you're not wrong. This, at the very least, is going to be content for him. He can create articles or video series about why he played it the way that he did. So there were a lot of other players who unfortunately busted on day 1 of the WSOP main event. And we've got a little in memoriam video to honor those who saw their main events cut short. Here they are.
Let's go!
Wow, online Oscar's acting like he was just announced next king of England. Hey, if he's happy, I'm happy. This is why the WSOP app is so great. The stakes are virtual, but the emotions are real. If you love playing poker, play WSOP, the #1 free-to-play poker game in the world.
All right, we are back to talk recent tournament winners presented by WPT Global, starting with Michael Wang. We've talked about him in the podcast before. Earlier this summer, he won a Wynn event for like $500,000. Here he is taking down the 10K PLO, event number 74 on the schedule, for almost $1.4 million. Michael Wang, good guy. He's crushing it. He won a WPT title late last year, wins the Wynn event this year, and now wins this bracelet. Mike, talk to me about Michael Wang.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Wang, he's that guy. He's like a Vegas grinder who may grind more than anybody else. Like, I'm really good friends with my buddy Landon Brown. I would consider him, like, he grinds every day. He says Michael Wang and Jeremy Beck are the only people that grind just as much as him. So to see Michael Wang do so well recently with the Wynn title, the 100K, was the 100K PLO? 25K?
Yeah. This one was the 10K.
The 10K PLO, sorry. The 10K PLO. To see him have so much success, he's a great guy, super good. You know, when he was younger, he used to be a competitive grip strength guy. Like he'd do like the grip strength thing.
Hold on, is this another one of your bullshit stories?
It's
he tells these to me and kind of all the time. He was a hand model last time.
No. Steven Song was not a hand model. That was a lie. No, Mike Wang used to do the grip strength things. He carries one with him all the time. If you ask him, he'll always have it, and he'll beat the shit out of you in grip strength. It's crazy. It's like 150 pounds per square. It's like something ridiculous, and I'm like, 110. He's always just like, it's ridiculous.
He had like a little chip in a chair story. Eric Seidel tweeted this. So Eric Seidel doubled up through Wang at part of the tournament. Wang was left with just 2/3 of a big blind.
What?
At the time, yeah. Was automatically all in the next hand just from posting the big blind. And spun it up. One of the greatest comebacks in WSOP history.
Good for him. That's so cool.
Yeah,
so
third gold bracelet for Michael Wang. Another big winner was Aaron Kupin, who took down event number 76, the 2,500 mixed big bet for $206,000, defeated Marco Johnson heads up, Ophir Moore, third place, and Daniel Negreanu, fourth place in that one. And your buddy, Jeff Matson, in fifth place, making that final table.
That's my dog. He's the young grizzly bear.
$42,000 for Jeff Matson.
42 G's?
42,000.
Nice. He's got the next round.
What? Yeah, he does. Oh, yeah.
It was a big win for Aaron Kupin, who has made several final tables at the WSOP. I think the best he's ever done is 7th place, and he's taken 7th place several times.
Oh, man.
But now breaks through, wins this one for his first bracelet, and another one of those players who can cross his name off the best without a bracelet list.
Very cool stuff.
And now I want to... Let's see. There's no other winners I want to highlight at the moment, but I do want to highlight what you've probably seen sitting here on the desk.
Yeah.
Pokerriculum. This is Maria Ho's and friends' new, I'm going to say game, right? It's not like a board game per se. This is more of like a expansion pack on your already home game, if you will, right? This is designed to help teach people how to play better poker in an actual live realm. But you can take it from me, or you can take it from Maria herself, because she was kind enough to send in a little video. Check it out. All right, if you want to get your hands on Pokerriculum, they do have a website, pokerriculum.com. And if you're at the WSOP, you can actually get it for $25. At the WSOP at itself, visit the Poker Go or the Octopi Poker booth, on sale through July 7th, which is, by the time this comes out, is only going to be another day or so. But you don't have to go there to get one, because we are going to give this one away.
Boom.
Now, this isn't meant for if you're an experienced poker player, right? You're not going to get anything out of this, most likely. But this is more designed for, like, hey, I want to throw a poker game. I want to invite some friends. Those friends have never played poker before. They're a little scared. Well, this will enhance it and make that a more pleasurable learning experience.
If you're listening to this podcast, you already have a lot more poker chops than most of your friends, I think. And so this could be a really good way to get some of them more involved. And, I like to host poker games with my friends from time to time. And I'm, the most experienced player of the group. Not that I'm very good at poker, Mike, don't worry. But it is sort of like, I like that Maria's got this out there as a way to sort of on-ramp some newer players and to take some of sort of like the fear and mystery out of the game, especially when you're playing for money. People are rightfully nervous and
Sure.
and it is a complicated game. So, I'm kind of curious to see how this takes off. It seems like a cool idea.
I'm a big supporter of anything that is designed to help get more people
Yeah.
into poker.
Absolutely.
If you want to win this very edition of Pokerriculum, all you got to do is comment on the YouTube video for this episode, Pokerriculum, and I will enter you to win. We'll select a random winner and announce it in an upcoming episode. So good luck to you. And again, you can check it out at pokerriculum.com. And thank you to Maria Ho for kind of bringing this to the poker world, to my attention, and happy to help her out here. I do want to share some sad news. I actually learned this news while I was playing the PokerNews Deep Stacks Championship. I got a call from a buddy of mine, Jesse Folan, who used to, co-host on this show. That our good friend Eric Goldstein, he's known as Goldy, Las Vegas guy, well known at Run It Up Reno in back in the day. Charity series of poker events here throughout town. I just played with him a couple weeks ago at one of those events. Passed away unexpectedly. I think he was 52. Sounds like a heart attack by all accounts. And just one of those. Like, he was very beloved. He was a really fun guy. Never seen him in a bad mood. Always happy to see you. And, Jesse and Matt Stout from the Charity Series of Poker weighed in an article I had to write for Poker News. I hate writing those pieces, but I also feel a responsibility, right? I want to share it with the poker world and remember their poker accomplishments. But I don't know. To me, it was one of those, like, I think I busted my first bullet in the Poker News Deep Stacks, and you're just like, oh, life sucks. I busted a bullet. And then you get slapped with this, and you just kind of realize, like, it's just a game, right? Yeah.
And I think people don't appreciate the legacy that you can leave in the poker community. It's a special group, and it's a group that has a history and like a living history. And I think, for me, I'm not going to be a millionaire. I don't have kids. Like, my legacy is going to be the friends that I've made along the way, the people I've made smile with my jokes, and like maybe I've helped some people enjoy the world of poker. And I just think as these people inevitably pass, it's wonderful that we can kind of honor the contributions that they've made to this game that we love so much, and this community that's so important to us.
Yeah.
Well said.
I went to Miami John Cernuto's Celebration of Life earlier this summer, which I talked about in a past episode. And it was very moving and touching to see, like, obviously Miami John Cernuto, a huge name in the poker world, nominated for the Poker Hall of Fame. And we know him for his poker accomplishments. But to sit there and, yes, surrounded by poker people, but also you had his friends that he's known since high school, his family, his brother, sister, children. And you just realize, like, we know the poker player, but behind every poker player is a man or woman with a family and friends and people that love them. And it's not often that we get a glimpse into that, because it's poker's summer camp for us in a lot of regards.
And an escape from a lot of that too, right? Yeah. So, well, he'll be missed. There's no doubt.
Well, speaking of that kind of summer camp feel, the escape feel, let's talk real quick, Jim, about Rec Poker. I want you to tell the listeners a little bit more about what it is, what you do, and how they can find it or get involved.
Oh, thanks, Chad. So, Rec Poker is a worldwide community of recreational poker players. We study together. We play in home games together. We get coaching from pros. It's like this volunteer-led group. And our mission is just to help make the recreational poker world a more fun place, a better place, to help people approach poker with more confidence. And, let's be honest, to lose more slowly or to become winning players. Recreational poker players, they don't have a bankroll, they have a budget. And it's just like going to play golf, going to the movies, getting a lesson every once in a while is a great way to increase your pleasure in the hobby that you have. So we try really hard to prioritize a lot of free resources for recreational poker players. We've got a podcast, a YouTube channel, a Play Money home game club, and of course, like I said, a lot of great coaching and training opportunities there. You can sign up for a free account at www.rec.poker. All it takes is an email address and a smile, although we do insist on both. And you can, check out the podcast and just get more involved. You'll see us around. There's about 2,000 of us around the world. We travel well. We love road trips. And you won't find a more welcoming, fun-loving group of poker players. And I think this is if you're listening to this again, a lot of poker players out there, they love poker. They have great friends. They have, or maybe they don't have great friends. but even the ones that are lucky enough to have, because it is kind of a lone wolf game for a lot of people. But even those that are lucky to have like a really good support network and a really good friend and family base, those people aren't interested in poker. So, like, to actually have people in your life that you can talk poker with, I think is a big gap for a lot of people, and that's the gap that we try and fill at
That's so
Poker
cool.
more.
That's actually really sick.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It worked out. So I've been a guest several times on the Rec Poker podcast. Most recently, right before the WSOP, and that spurred me to invite you to come on today.
So cool.
So maybe we close the circle, and maybe Mike can go on the Rec Poker podcast at some point in the future.
Yeah, I'm on it. I just tore my rotator cuff.
That was a good high five. That was a
great high five. Very great. Good
no,
stuff.
let's set that out. I'd love that.
I'm totally down.
Amazing.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us and for joining us on this episode of the Poker News Podcast. That is going to do it. We're actually getting towards the end of the WSOP. As I said, the main event, day 2. We are going to be back. I think we've got 3 more episodes of the Poker News Podcast during the 2025 WSOP. Maybe an emergency one there, too, if something happens.
Sure.
And then after that, we'll be back to kind of our normal schedule. But maybe some exciting developments coming up in that regard, which I hope to share with everybody soon. We got some special guests coming up in these episodes as well. We'll keep those secret because sometimes they just don't show up. So I'm glad, Jen, you actually showed up. We had this on the calendar for a while. So.
I wouldn't miss it, man. This has been a pleasure.
All right. Well, I am Chad Holloway, Jim Reid, Mike Holtz. We will be back on Thursday with a brand new episode. Until then, we'll keep a seat open for you.